Hello, 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 hello. It is me, the Beisha. How's it going? I hope you're doing well. Um, Today we're playing a little Lily Princess again because I feel like it. Bit sleepy. So let's load and continue from where we were last time, which I don't remember where we're up to. All I remember is that Lavinia was weirdly racist against India for some reason, and we met Becky. Sorry about the coughing. Okie dokie, what are we going to do? Oh yeah, we can't do any more of Jessie's events. That makes me sad. Let's do an event with Becky. Sarah came upon the little maid hard at work in the school corridors. Becky? Oh, miss. I can't remember the voices I used. I know I used voices. I can't remember them. Oh no. Excuse me, Cleo. Excuse me. What are you doing? Cleo Cat is here. Are you gonna purr? So we can get some sound of you purring, Cleo? Oh, we got a little bit of purring. Let's see if we can get a... No? Is that working? I don't know if you can hear her or not. She's not purring very loud. She's got tiny little purrs. There we go. Oh, miss. So startled was she at being addressed that she fumbled the bucket of sooty brushes she carried, nearly dropping them. Sarah... Cleo, you're in the way. Sarah rushed forward to grab the handle and prevent the spill. Miss, you... Okay, that's how I say it. Miss, you oughtn't. You'll muck up your nice dress. You will? It's alright. I'm being careful. Please, miss, you shouldn't. It's not right. Well, you are the expert, of course, so I will leave things in your hands. Expert? Aren't you? I'm sure you're good at your work. Never heard it put that way, miss. Marriott says that everyone below stairs takes advantage of you and asks you to do too many things. They ought to thank you and tell you that you are doing a good job. Becky looked so baffled at the idea of being thanked for her labours that Sarah could not let the matter rest. Is Miss Minchin very unkind to you? She didn't say nothing about the missus, miss. Sarah looked up and down the hall, listening. No one is anywhere about. ... Come into my rooms if you feel safer that way. Oh, I shouldn't, miss. It's my first job, miss. First job in a real house, like. It's hard work. But at night I've got my own room and my own bed. Never had that at the workhouse, miss. You didn't have a bed? Room's full of beds, miss. But more full of girls. Everybody squeezes. It's good in winter, innit? Keeps you warm. Sarah did not lack for imagination, but she simply did not have the frame of reference to picture a workhouse dormitory with its rows of narrow beds crammed together. The smallest sleeping quarters she had ever seen were those on board the ship which brought Sarah and her papa to England. Yeah, sometimes it gets real spooky up top with the wind, but it's still my room, so it's not so bad. If the missus hadn't given me this job, I don't know what I'd do. She is grateful for so little. Listen, are you done with your chores for a while? Would you like to have cake again? Oh, miss, I'd like that, but I've got these other rooms still to do, and the curtains, and she looked absolutely crestfallen at the idea of abandoning the cake, but still determined not to give up on her duties. Such unrewarded diligence. Miss Minchin does not deserve her. It's all right. I promise I will keep the cake and wait for you. You can come by whenever you are finished for the day. You get head pats. Sarah gets head pats. Becky can have head pats too. Pat, 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 pat. Pat, pat, pat. Even if it's evening, miss, there's a whole heap of and cookies sour today. There's a whole heap and cooked sour today. I got there in the end. If you work so late, then you need a treat even more, don't you? I'll stop getting in your way now. I doubt you. I don't want to get you in trouble for talking to me. I will see you later when you can. I promise. Thank you, miss. Yay! New week. Sarah was sitting all curled up in the lovely soft chair by the fire. That same chair in which she had found Becky asleep not so long ago. Her stockinged feet were folded up beneath her, her elbows on the chair arm, and her chin in her hands. If I were a princess, a real princess, I could go among the populace in a grand coach and scatter largesse. What's largesse? You know what? Let's find out. Largesse. Definition. Bestowing gifts, especially in lofty or a condescending manner. Liberal giving. As if to an inferior. Okie dokie. Well, now I know. Now we know. Everyone who was tired and poor and hungry, I could make their lives better. That's what a princess ought to do. Even if I am only a pretend princess, I can still invent little things to do for people. That is very true. She thought back to Becky's amazed delight at being warmed and fed. It took so little to make a difference for her. She was just as happy as if it had been largesse. From now on, I'll pretend that to do things people like is scattering largesse. Then I can truly be a princess. The thought swelled up inside her, making her head feel quite light. Before she knew it, Sarah was sitting up straight in her chair, her arms at her sides and her feet hanging down, just like a little princess on her throne. Okie dokie, we need sympathy. Tea party. And vigor and grace. Let's do that. It's not that bad. Mademoiselle, there is a letter for you. A letter from Papa. She took the paper in her hands, not without the faintest twinge of dismay. She was glad, beyond glad, to have word from her beloved Papa, and yet such a letter made her realize she had not much thought about him for days and days. Papa would be glad that I had found so many things to fill my days. I should not feel upset. Banishing guilt, she drew out the letter and began to absorb its contents. My dear little Mrs. This letter was far more fulfilling than the early missive from Bombay. He told her of many things he had seen and done, and how people that she had met in India were getting on, and it was all quite agreeable. And then the most exciting news. A friend of mine from my schoolboy days came to visit me here in India, quite unexpectedly, to let me know of a piece of good fortune. He owns a large tract of land, too large to have seen every detail of it himself, but recently has made a remarkable discovery, a deposit of diamonds. He is now engaged in developing the mines to bring out these diamonds, and if all goes as he most confidently expects, he will become possessed of such wealth as makes one dizzy to think of. And because we were fond of each other in our school days, he thought of your old Papa and offered me the opportunity to share in this enormous fortune by becoming a partner of his scheme. Diamonds! What is that? Is your father sending you a gift? You are too young to wear diamonds in English fashion. Diamond mines! Sarah's mind was filled with images from the Arabian Nights. Deep caverns beneath the earth, sparkling stones studded into the walls and ceilings, dark-eyed dwarves digging them free and with heavy picks, heaps of discarded treasure shimmering with enchantments. Can such marvelous things really be true? It was all too much to put into words. She handed the letter to Mariette to read, then picked up Emily from her chair. Have you ever seen a diamond cavern, Emily? Have any of your fairy friends been there? Perhaps they could say hello to my Papa for us. She hugged the doll to herself, her eyes glimmering crystal bright. Someday we will see them. Hi, Waffle! How's it going? Thanks for popping in. I hope you're doing well. Are you feeling any better? Someday we will see them together, my Papa and I. Who should we visit? Let's visit Mariette. Sarah was curled up in her soft, comfortable chair with a book, while Mariette moved around the room, neatening cushions and setting items on shelves into orderly alignments. I'm good. I'm eating so I can read. I'm good. I'm out eating some food. Feeling good now. What are you playing? That's good. I'm glad you're feeling better. I'm playing A Little Lily Princess. It's a visual novel based off of the Little Princess book. You know, the old classic one. It was a book detailing life in faraway America and four sisters who were growing up into women. Sarah found it well written, but less exciting than the histories and fantasies she preferred. It is unfair for me to judge them too quickly. Perhaps they will have adventures when they are older. I have not had so many adventures myself, yet, but I hope that I will someday. Okay, cool. As she turned the pages, she became aware of a faint musical sound elsewhere in the room. Mariette was humming to herself. I wonder if she realizes she is doing that. Distracted from her reading, Sarah listened for a while, trying to follow the thread of the tune. Miss Minchin's select seminary aimed to create well-rounded young ladies, but Miss Minchin herself did not place so much emphasis on music, and singing masters visited only infrequently. On the streets of London, one might see performers of various sorts. My computer just did a weird thing. Fiddlers, organ grinders, sometimes even singers, although the city noise made it difficult for such to be heard. These street musicians, however, were more commonly found in parts of London, through which a refined young lady passed through quickly and did not linger. Her ear tempted by the possibility of a new source of music, Sarah asked, "What are you humming?" "Ah, I can't say that. I don't know how to say that." "No, you don't need to stop. It sounded pretty." "I was hoping that you knew the song and could sing it to me." I am not certain that I can remember all the words, but I will try." In a breathy voice, Mariette began to sing what must have been a children's nonsense song about a beautiful lady who was in fact a beautiful slice of bread living in a palace of butter. That sounds like fun. The lyrics were, of course, all in French, and one or two words refer to things Sarah was unfamiliar with, like a French word that I can't say. But she assumed they were another kind of pastry. Perhaps I should have... Wow, epic story. I know. Beautiful bread. Oh, it makes me hungry. Nom nom nom. Perhaps I should have Mariette buy some for us, if she can then find them in London. There are likely to be more French bakeries here than in India. I can say words. Mariette's voice trailed off amidst a pile of confections. Well, you see how it is, yes? I am sorry, it is not a proper song. I think it is a darling little song. Where did you learn it? Oh, nowhere important. The subway I just ate was a princess. What have you done, Waffle? You ate the princess. Such a crime. It must be a common song in France. I wonder if it is something that my mother knew when she was a little girl. No! Not the princess bread. Princess Subway. I was the villain all along. You heard it here. Waffle's the villain. You look sad, mademoiselle. Was my singing so terrible? No. You did good singing. No, not at all. It was very sweet of you to sing to me. I was thinking about my mother. Ah, I am sorry. I did not mean to stir up painful memories. But I don't remember her, not at all. That is what I was thinking about. This seemed a serious subject, and so Sarah rose from her chair and stood with her hands clasped behind her as if she were giving a recitation. Ooh, hiccup. I never knew my mother, so I cannot miss her. I do not know what having a mother is like. My father picked you for me because you were kind and French, as she was. Kind and French, the most important things. I mean, not wrong. So I wondered for a moment if he meant for you to be a kind of mother to me, as I am Mama to Lottie. I could pretend it was so, if it pleased you, or if it pleased my papa, but it does not seem right, somehow. You are not my mother, you are Mariette, and that is something all its own. Mariette covered her smile with her hand. You are filled with thoughts, ma petite princess. Kind and French, best qualifications for a new mother. Yes. You do not need to worry. I do not wish to be your mother. Sarah nodded quite seriously. That is good. I would not wish to disappoint her. I am sure she comes out from heaven sometimes to watch over me. It might make her sad if she thought she had been replaced, especially when I could not see her or speak with her to explain. Would you like to see her? What? But how? Come here. Mariette drew Sarah close in front of her. Close your eyes. Blind, Sarah allowed herself to be guided by Mariette's hand. She was not afraid. She knew Mariette would take care of her. Now turn and look. Sarah opened her eyes to be faced with a full-length mirror that always stood in her room. There is your mother, do you see? Your mother, your father, they made you. They are always inside you. Aww. Oh, that's cute. Sarah stared at her reflection for a moment, then smiled. Mariette, I believe you are filled with thoughts too. Then we are a pair. Had Sarah's father invested in any other business venture, it would have held little attraction for the rest of the students. Diamond mines, however, captured the imagination, and the girls could not stop whispering. The cuteness, cute overload. It's cute, isn't it? I like giving them head pats, but there's nobody on the screen to give a head pat right now. They knew little about the details of mining in faraway lands, but fairy tales are understood, especially with a teller such as Sarah among them. Head pats for Lottie, head pats for Sarah. Yum yum yum. Pat pat pat. Tell me the part about the dogs again, Sarah Mama. Deep underground, beyond the passage with the lamps, there were 4 doorways, and each led to a different kind of treasure: copper, silver, gold, and diamond. The first was the room of copper. Copper lanterns hung from the ceiling, and copper pots lined the walls, and over the floor was was spread a blanket of copper coins. But the guardian of this room was a dog with copper eyes as big as saucers. Oh, that sounds terrifying. And a mouth full of rough-edged copper teeth. Not everyone was quite so caught up in wonder. It's a silly fancy, like everything else Sarah says. I don't believe such things as diamond mines actually exist. Well, people have to get them from somewhere. Yes, of course they find diamonds in the earth, but one at a time surely, not whole mines filled with diamonds. Do you know what a diamond ring costs? Not even a big one. If there were mines full of diamonds, people would be so rich, it would be ridiculous. Perhaps Sarah will be so rich that she will be ridiculous. She is ridiculous enough already. Lavinia, do you hate her? No, I do not, but I don't believe her. I got to go walk home. We'll tune back in about 15 minutes. No problems. Thank you, Waffle. I hope you have a good walk. Conversation died as Miss Minchin walked into the main hall. Girls, gather around, please. I have an announcement to make. We have had some very exciting news regarding a parent of one of our pupils. Starting from today, Sarah Crew will be leading the procession whenever we leave the school grounds. Bye! You will look to her as your example. Lavinia could only stare, her mouth agape, her eyes not quite as big as saucers. Looks like Miss Minchin believes in diamond mines. How dare she? Lavinia clenched her fists against the fabric of her dress and forced a tight smile on her face. She walked up to take her new place in line. Head pats. It appears I will now be walking behind you, Sarah. Oh. It wasn't my idea. Wasn't it, though? She said nothing more. Grace. Grace is needed. Dance. Dance. All the dance. We'll do one of these. We'll do one of these, and we'll do one of these. Okay. Sarah found Ermengarde in the main hall, wiping tears from her eyes. Oh no! Oh no! What happened to Ermengarde? What is it? Is something wrong? Oh, Sarah, do you remember the nest of eggs we saw in the tree a while ago? Oh, did they hatch? Yes, 2 weeks ago, but it's dreadful. What's dreadful? Tybalt, Miss Minchin's cat. He got out and climbed the tree and killed the babies. Oh! 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 Oh, that makes me sad. What? Oh no! They were too young to fly. They couldn't fly away. I don't know if he got them all, but the poor little things. Sarah's sorrow was more for Ermengarde's disappointment than for the birds. She had only ever seen them as eggs in a distant nest, never as living creatures, and had expected them to fledge and be gone before her thoughts returned to them. But Ermengarde had spotted the nest from her own window, had clearly returned to that window time and again to watch over them, had imagined for herself the companionship they might have shared as pets. Ermengarde had made the baby birds a part of her life without disturbing their freedom, and for her it was a true loss. It's not Tybalt's fault. What? It's not Tybalt's fault. He's just a cat. Cats bite sometimes. I mean, you're not wrong. I didn't... She wiped a hand over her wet face. I didn't say I was angry at Tybalt. People can be sad when bad things happen without having to blame anyone for them. It's a very wise lesson. Pats. Head pats. Who gets the head pats? The answer is Sarah. Sarah gets the head pats. Sometimes it isn't anyone's fault. So you won't hurt Tybalt? Of course not. Why would you think that I... Because I heard Cook say that if Tybalt got into the kitchen and ate her chicken again, she would have him drowned. Well, that's not very nice. That's terrible. We don't drown cats here. So I thought you might think like that too. Ermengarde blinked at Lottie, too confused to be upset. She really said she'd drown him? Yeah, that's not a nice thing. That's terrible. We don't drown cats here. We love cats. We give cats pets. We give them head pats and scratches and treats. I'm sure she was joking. Cook does have a temper. Cook's not very nice to Becky. Cook's not very nice to anyone. We don't know that. She might have friends or family elsewhere. She's probably nice to them. Sarah didn't think it was right to condemn a woman she barely knew, even if everything she had heard from Becky and Mariette was less than flattering. She's probably nice to Miss Minchin. Miss Minchin loves that cat, though. She'd be very angry if anything happened to him. There, you see, Lottie? Cook wouldn't hurt Tybalt. No one's going to hurt him. Sarah hugged Ermengarde close. Or hugs. I'm sorry about your birds. Why don't you both come up to my room for a while? And Sarah led her friends away, prepared to pamper them and distract them from their worries, like the perfect hostess. No! No! Oh. Disappoint. We'll visit Ermengarde. Sarah and Ermengarde walked through the halls of Miss Minchin's together hand in hand. Dancing lessons. She sighed noisily, her shoulders rising and falling. I wish that being hopeless at books meant that I was good at something else instead. My father wouldn't be happy if I were only good at dancing, but at least Miss Minchin wouldn't look at me so disapprovingly. But it is only something else for me to fail at. I feel so heavy and graceless compared to the other girls. She is heavier than the other girls, but she isn't graceless. I think you move very well. You are always in time with the music. Lavinia isn't. But I don't look right when I move my arms, and the dance masters always frown at me. Jessie is the best of us. She looks like a flower in the breeze, like a gloriosa lily, because its petals are long and red and wavy like her hair. They tell us we should try to move like a field of Celandines. I never feel like a celandine. I don't know if that's how it's pronounced. I know what a celandine looks like, and I am not one. They reached Sarah's room and took seats upon the bed. What is a celandine? I don't think we had them in India. Oh, a little yellow flower. That's the lesser celandine. They're not very tall, but the flowers are very bright, with lots of yellow petals like this. She held up her hands, curling her fingers around. They come up early in the spring. They grow in great bunches in the woods, all over the ground, mostly the leaves, but with little bright dots of flowers. The other kind is taller. Their flowers are yellow too, bright yellow, but they only have 4 petals. I may have seen those, I'm not sure. What flowers grow wild in India? Oh, many kinds. Tall spikes covered with purple orchids that nod down, flowers with petals pink as lips that grow straight up from the ground, with no stems. I don't know all their names. I wish you could have brought some with you. If I had picked flowers in India before I left, they would have died and fallen apart on the ship. Ermengarde hung her head. I'm sorry, it was a stupid idea. No, I wish I could have brought you flowers to see as well. Perhaps someday I will learn to draw and paint with watercolours. Then I could make pictures of the flowers, so that I could bring them to show you. Can you draw? I don't know. She held out her hands in front of her, examining the stubby fingers and their short, blunt nails. I wouldn't expect that I can. Your hands are so delicate, Sarah. That's the way a lady's hands should be. That's what you say. I say hands are hands. And if they work, they're good. And if they don't work, that's okay too. Sarah pressed her palm against Ermengarde's. Her fingers seemed almost the same length, but more narrow. Well, Emily's fingers are much rounder and shorter than yours, and she is still a lady. Your hands are stronger than mine. I am sure there are many things your hands can do that mine can't. But you can do everything. Sarah's eyes took on a mischievous glint. Only magic can do everything. Imagine what I could do with this school if I really could do everything. You weak. Lavinia strode through the halls, Tybalt clasped it to her bosom. That's the second time I've had to say bosom on this since I started Twitch, and just why? Crooning little songs to him and paying no attention to any fur that might be shed onto her dress. She's been carrying that cat around all day. Gossiping about your betters, Ermengarde. You had better be careful. Bad little birds who squawk and squeal get gobbled up whole. My voices for them are changing. Lavinia threw her head back and laughed. That's mean. Tybalt stirred in her grasp, yelling faintly. Shh, shh. My prince. Yes, you are a good kitty. Shh. That's what cats do, you know. They eat the weak. The sound of humming marked her passage as she moved out of sight. I think she set that cat on the birds on purpose. I'm sure she wouldn't do that. You heard what she said. She was laughing at me. That doesn't mean that she... No, I won't believe it. She said what she said to taunt you, and that was very unkind of her, but she isn't a wicked person, not really. It would be wrong to accuse her of something so dreadful. You are too charitable. Lavinia is horrid. I know you're always kind, and I'm glad that you are, but she doesn't deserve it. It isn't so much about what she deserves. Kindness isn't something you should have to earn. A princess should always be kind, whether it's to a noble or a peasant or a witch. Sometimes being kind to a wicked witch is the only way to break her spell, or to make a friend. I wish Lavinia would be kinder to others. So do I. We're going to practice dancing all week. Dance, 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 dance. Yeah. Sarah, may I come in? Of course. This may be a foolish question, but do you know where Lavinia has gone? Is she not in her room? No. Then I don't know where she is. Perhaps she went out to have an ice. What does that mean? Like an ice cream? She must have gone out somewhere. But she didn't tell me that she was going. I feel like in the past weeks she's spoken more to Tybalt than to me. She's obsessed with that cat. She's even taking it into her room to sleep with her. I'm supposed to be her best friend, and Jessie looked down, hugging her arms around herself. Sometimes, when you're feeling sad, it's easier to talk to someone who can't talk back. Someone who will just listen. She looked over at the doll displayed in pride of place. Emily is a very good listener. You think Lavinia has troubles she isn't telling me about? I don't know. You know her better than I do. I would turn myself into a cat if I could, if that would make her happy. It doesn't usually go well in stories when a princess is turned into a cat. That means she's under a spell, or a curse, I should say. Oh, I'm no princess. You could be if you wanted to. Anyone can be a princess if they're willing to work hard at it. My voice is starting to go. That's only pretend. I think princesses who live in castles are kind of pretend too, because we pretend that they're different than we are, just because of where they were born. You are a queer sort of girl sometimes, Sarah Crewe. Maybe you're the one who was born different. Who should we visit? We should visit Lottie, because we haven't visited Lottie. Lottie had climbed up onto the window nook in her little nose pressed against the glass. But what she was looking at, Sarah could not see. Lottie, are you watching something? Sarah, Mama! Welcome back, Waffle! No problems. Good luck with your housework. That's what I was trying to say. Thank you for popping back in. I hope your walk went well. The little girl stumbling to Sarah's embrace. Wasn't watching, I was thinking. What were you thinking about? Horses. Oh, yes. Sarah brushed Lottie's curls with her hand in a comforting manner. Lottie, is there a reason that horses frighten you so? Perhaps she was bitten by one once. But if that is not the reason, I don't want to suggest it to her. Horses have very large teeth, but almost never bite people. You survived? That's good. I'm glad to hear it. Walking is hard. It's because they can turn into monsters. Like the one that killed my mama. A horse killed your mother? Lottie nodded, her eyes wide. It's why my papa shot it, like yours with the tiger. Was it a wild horse? It seemed a somewhat morbid topic of conversation, but Sarah could not help being curious. There were not many stories of monstrous horses in her repertoire. Wild stallions might stampede, and a fairy horse might take off with a rider on its back, never to be seen again. But monsters? It was her horse. I don't want to talk about horses. No, I suppose you don't. It must have been a riding accident. A horse can't live with a broken leg. If the horse fell, that could be how Lottie's mother was injured, and why her father had to shoot the horse. Lottie doesn't seem to understand, but understanding wouldn't make it any less afraid of riding. Well, I am sorry if I upset you. The look Lottie gave her was surprisingly mischievous. You made me really sad, Sarah Mama. Will you tell me a story now to cheer me up? Is she not upset then? Well, if I am to play the part of Mama, have you finished all your schoolwork? Oh. If we look at some books together first, then I will tell you a story afterwards. Perhaps you would like to practice a bit of French. I'm too little to speak French. Oh, I see. She paused, then tapping her finger against her chin, saying nothing until Lottie could not bear it and burst out with, What are you thinking? It must be very quiet in French schools if none of the children can speak. Oh, what you doing, Dozer? Pats for Dozer. There you go. That's who gets the head pats. Dozer dog does. Okay. The sound of angry voices drew Sarah into the hall. You've been touching my things again, haven't you? No, miss, I hadn't. Didn't you clean my rooms? Yes, miss. Then you touched my belongings, didn't you? No, miss. Please, your pardon, miss, I didn't. Let her be. Sarah found herself feeling quite cross with Lavinia. Lavinia's moods had been mercurial. What does mercurial mean? I'm going to look that one up. Mercurial. Describes someone whose mood or behaviour is changeable and unpredictable. Ah, okie dokie. Well, we learnt a new word. But to take them out on Becky, who could not defend herself, it was too much. Of course she's been in your rooms to clean them, and she may have moved something to dust it. That's not doing anything wrong, and you've no reason to scold her. No reason. If she moves my books so that I cannot find them and knocks items off my table and puts her filthy fingers on my underclothes. Good to know. Yeah, we're learning new words. The impertinence of it. As if she had any right to handle a young lady's possessions. Please, miss, I'm sorry. But Lavinia's eyes were on Sarah now. Perhaps you're the reason she can't keep her hands to herself. Don't think I haven't noticed. Noticed what? That girl spending extra time in your rooms. What have you been teaching her in there? Hidden away, telling stories again? What would Miss Minchin think of that? I have given Becky extra duties. It wasn't entirely a falsehood. Sarah told herself. She had requested that Becky stay and speak with her, and a request from a student was something like a duty for a servant. If you told Miss Minchin, she would wonder why you were interfering. You already have a personal maid. Is every servant in the school meant to be at your beck and call? There are many things I need done, and it is none of your concern. You think you're very special, don't you? You might have a surprise coming for you yet. Ooh. Lavinia whirled about, passing through the door to her room and slamming it behind her with much force. Much force. So much force. Oh, miss, I didn't mean to cause... You didn't cause anything, Becky. Whatever's wrong with Lavinia, it isn't your fault. Very true, very true. Read a book. Tea party. Read a book. Tea party. Read a book. Tea party. Read a book. All the reading, all the tea parties. It's the best week ever. Where is that girl? Where is she? Lavinia, what are you doing? Where is your little pet, Sarah? Look what she's done now. Lavinia held up a pair of shredded stockings. Ruined. Completely ruined. And she did it out of spite. Where is that girl? She ought to be whipped. I'll have her... You will not. What did you say? You've been letting Tybalt sleep in your rooms. He got at your stockings, not Becky. That's claw-marked. And you can't blame him either because he's just a cat and that's what cats do. You stupid fat-faced fool. That's awful. You're mean. Don't be mean to Ermengarde. Girls. Lavinia's enraged tones had attracted extra attention. Lavinia, I am surprised at you, shrieking and carrying on like a fishwife. What is a fishwife? My goodness. Fishwife. What is a fishwife? The meaning of fishwife is a woman who sells fish. Well, I knew that. A woman regarded as coarse and shrewishly abusive. Okay, that makes more sense. I mean, like, they both make sense, but in the context of the story. Lavinia needs to take a long walk off a short pier. I know, she's not very nice. I keep saying, like, I'm pretty sure it's because of, like, her parents' influence, but I'm not sure because I don't know enough about her storyline. You ought to follow Sarah's example. Sarah is always a model student. You could learn a great deal from her. Lavinia's head jerked as if she had been struck a blow. The ruined stockings drifted, forgotten from her numb hands. Yes, Miss Minchin. Ah, she got in trouble. Yeah, that's what happens. Okay. We'll do one more, and then it's time for me to hop off for now, I think. Becky leaned back into the soft, comfortable chair and listened to Sarah as Sarah spun a story for her. This tale involved a king who had 2 daughters but no sons, and who was under a terrible curse that only a hero who travelled the witch's road could lift. Each daughter swore to do her best to save her father, and thus they each outfitted themselves and went on their separate journeys. The elder had hair of gold, and she wore bright silver armour and carried a thin-bladed sword with a hilt like a bell. The younger had hair of midnight and wore a dress of soft flowing blue. She carried no weapon other than her words and her kind heart. Becky was so entranced by Sarah's voice that she had forgotten, for minutes at a time, to keep eating the slice of cake she had been handed. How can you forget to eat cake? The elder princess chose the fiercest horse in the royal stables and galloped along the witch's road at great speed until she came to a metal bridge over the river. When the horse's hooves pounded on the metal, they made such a clang that the horse was startled, and the eldest daughter was flung from her saddle. The younger princess did not want to tire her favourite pony by making him carry her, so she walked down the witch's road holding his reins. They went much more slowly, but at last they reached the bridge. Her gentle pony didn't want to touch the metal bridge, but he trusted the youngest daughter, and she soothed and petted him, and together they crossed the river. As Sarah's story continued, the kind younger daughter encountered a monster which terrified her and required her bolder sister's approach to chase it away. Eventually, the 2 princesses learned to work together and progressed to the end of the road. And there, inside the twisted brambles of the witch's hut, they found their father. Was the curse broken? Hi, Sabat and Liam. It's a Baisha. A wild Baisha has appeared. A wild Liam has appeared. How's it going? How are you? I hope you're doing well. Thanks for popping in. He said, because I had no sons to rule after me, I built this road myself as a test. But now the 2 of you have learned your strength, and I know that you can rule together. Sabaton, as in ton of steel. Ton. Okay, I get ya. I'm tired and gold, and I can't do words. You just woke up from a nap. I hope you're doing very well. I'm doing okay. I'm doing pretty well. Head pats. It's super effective. Yes. Head pats. Cold. Okay, I got ya. I'm sorry, my bad. Like, some people are able to get what other people are writing instantly, like so easily. But I have such a hard time reading sometimes. Oh. Becky folded her hands under her chin and let out a fond sigh. Could 2 princesses really rule a kingdom, miss? I don't see why not. Our queen was a princess once. I guess it's so. All of a sudden she sat bolt upright in the chair. Blimey, the time. Sorry, miss. It's all right. I suppose you ought to go. Words are indeed tricky. Indeed, it's definitely English. Becky looked dolefully at the thick slice of cake, still half uneaten, that sat before her. Can I take it with me, miss? I've got my pocket here, you see. Tied beneath Becky's apron was a stained old cloth pouch, the surviving half of a discarded pair of pockets from some lady's wardrobe. Sarah did not imagine that any cake held in such a pocket would be pleasant to eat afterwards, but scolded herself that it was not her decision to make. I feel like putting cake in pockets isn't a good plan. Of course you can. Thank you, miss. She happily tipped the plate into her pocket. Okay, you do you. I can eat this later up in the attic, miss. I've got to eat it careful, because if I leave crumbs, the rats will come out and get 'em. Rats? There are rats there? Lots of 'em, miss. There mostly is rats and mice in attics. You get used to the noise they make scuttling about. I've got so I don't mind long as they don't run over my pillow. Ugh. I saw a rat in my backyard like a couple of weeks ago. I think my dog scared it away though, which is good. You can get used to anything after a bit. You have to, miss. If you're born like I was, I'd rather have rats than cockroaches. Oh, so would I. I think I might manage to make friends with a rat in time, but I don't believe I should like to make friends with a cockroach. Friends? Well, they are creatures just like cats or dogs. They could be friendly. I think Becky needs that food more than the rats do, but I wonder if the rats are hungry too. Perhaps if there is any crumbs in your pocket, you should shake it out somewhere away from your bed, so that if the rats come out to eat, they won't bother you. That's clever, miss. Perhaps I'll try that. Rats get all the food. Rats do get all the food. As little Lottie walked past the classroom, which should by any rights be empty at such a time, she heard a most curious sound. ? The noise was faint enough that most ears might have overlooked it. But even in its quietness, it was a sound with which Lottie was intimately familiar. It was the sound of a girl crying. And so it was that Lottie, who had never before been known for her sympathy, padded into the classroom and found seated on the floor with her arms hugging her knees and her eyes streaming with tears, Lavinia Herbert. What's the matter? Go away. Lottie herself enjoyed being fussed over far too much to imagine that anyone else might truly mean it when she demanded to be left alone. Lottie came closer and laid her plump little hand on Lavinia's shoulder, petting the older girl as teachers had petted her. There. Don't touch me. She lashed out, arm and elbow striking the smaller child full force and knocking her away. Poor Lottie! Ah! Caught off balance, Lottie twisted and fell upon her knee, skidding slightly on the floor, and she landed. Oh, Lottie! Ah! Lottie, oh... Oh, now she's crying. Look what you did, Lavinia. Look what you did. You made her cry. Lavinia's tears had been quiet. Lottie's were anything but. Being sad does not mean you get to be a jerk to other people. Oh, goodness. Lavinia, bad Lavinia, no biscuit. Lavinia gets no biscuits. My voice is going. Like, can you hear that? My voice is dead. Sarah was, at the time, in another room entirely, curled up in a window seat and enjoying a recently acquired book. Between one word and another, her concentration was disrupted by the sound of distant howling. For all the stories she told of heaven, Sarah would be the first to admit that she herself was not an angel. She felt obligated to leave her book and look after her adopted child, but she was not pleased about it. Thus, when she stomped into the classroom and found Lottie on the ground nursing her reddened knee and Lavinia standing over her, Sarah herself felt quite snappish and unreasonable. Stop this minute, you crybaby. Stop this minute. I'm not a crybaby. I'm not. You are. You nasty spoilt thing. I should like to slap you. Don't slap people. No. Oh my god. No biscuits for you. No biscuits. Sarah! Sarah wailed on Lavinia, who appeared to be the root cause of the disruption of her reading, and whose face was now quite dry. Well, I should like to slap you. Oh my goodness, all the slapping. That's not unreasonable. She just hit a child. I mean, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. Immediately ashamed, she struggled to restrain herself. But I don't want to slap you. See, Sarah's a good bean. Sarah's a good one, okay? Be like Sarah. Don't be like Lavinia. Be like Sarah. Sarah gets head pats. No, I do want to slap you. I should like to slap you, but I won't. Because we are not little gutter children. Oh, that is a bit harsh. Gutter children. Goodness. We are both old enough to know better. Yes, you are. Ah, yes, your Royal Highness. We are princesses, I believe. At least one of us is. It stung. It stung more bitterly than either of them could have expected for Sarah to hear her beloved Fancy mocked in such a tone. She felt the blood rush up into her face and tingle in her ears. But she stopped herself. A princess did not fly into rages. That was hard to read. It's true. Sometimes I do pretend I am a princess. I pretend I am a princess so that I can try and behave like one. As a former gutter child myself, that's a bit offensive. I know, right? Just a wee bit. Just a tad little bit. Dear me, how grand. I hope when you ascend the throne that you won't forget us. I won't. ... You think you're the only one who's special? You're wrong. Just wait, Sarah Crewe. You'll see. Lavinia left the room, her neck stiff with her head high. Sarah, Mama, she... Hush, Lottie. It's all right. Never mind. Come and sit on the window seat with me, and I'll whisper a story to you. Poor Lottie. She just wanted to comfort her. She gets head pats. Head pats for Lottie. Stop crying. It's okay. Lavinia's just a big meanie. Will you tell me about the diamond mines again? Of course. Okie dokie. Can I save here? I can't save here. I have to continue. Okay. Continuing a bit more. Write in diary. Write in diary. Okay, we'll do that. do, 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 do. Mademoiselle, there is a letter for you. Oh, another letter from Papa. It does not seem so long at all since his last letter. A longer wait might make me feel quite lonely and neglected, or risk him fading from my thoughts, but this is just right. I wonder if he has explored the diamond caves yet. My dear little missus. This letter did not seem to be written in such boyish high spirits as usual. He was not very well and was evidently overweighted by the business connected with the diamond mines. You see, little Sarah, your daddy is not a businessman at all, and figures and documents bother him. He does not really understand them, and all this seems so enormous. It gives me a splitting headache even to consider these matters. Perhaps I am the one who should be away at school. Again. Learning how to manage things. And if I was not feverish, I should not be awake through one half of each night, tossing about and spending the other half in troublesome dreams. Oh, he's not been sleeping well. Nobody's sleeping well lately, apparently. Poor Papa. If my little missus were here, I dare say she would give me some solemn good advice and put my mind at ease. What wouldn't I give to have your little arms round my neck this minute? God grant me these matters be soon resolved, and grant me leave to return to England for a visit. A visit? Oh, Marriott, my papa may be coming for a visit. Are you sure, mademoiselle? It is a long way to travel. I do not wish you to be disappointed. Well, he doesn't promise that he can, but he does say that he would like to. She read a little further along. He's also asking about what I want for my birthday. Wouldn't it be lovely if my papa were here for my birthday? Oui. I can't read that because it's in French. French words. I'm not going to try to read it because I'll just mispronounce them. I know, I mustn't fasten my hopes on it, but it is a beautiful thing to believe. She looked down at the letter and smiled. Papa is asking if a doll will be an acceptable present. I told him I didn't want a lot of dolls, but he says a special doll might be a companion for Emily while I'm busy with classes. That is a pretty thought. Yes, she must be a very special doll. You see, I am getting very old, and by the time of my next birthday, I do not think I should be given dolls anymore. This will be my last doll. There is something solemn about that, don't you think? Of course, mademoiselle. If I could write poetry, I am sure a poem about a last doll would be a very nice one. But I cannot write poetry. I have tried and it made me laugh. Oh. I mean, poetry can be funny. You can have funny poetry. It did not sound like What's a Coleridge or Shakespeare at all. Perhaps when you are completely too old for dolls, you will have more of a talent for poetry in exchange. Do you think it could work that way? I never know how I will change, even though I am different every day. Sarah set the letter aside and knelt to address Emily. I should respect the last doll very much, but nothing could ever take your place. I hope you do not become jealous of each other and can be very good friends. I am sure they will. Okie dokie. I'm going to save. We'll save here. Overwrite. And we're going to leave it at that for now. And I will probably... Stop it, Dozer. Why are you barking? Why are you barking? You couldn't wait 2 minutes. I'll be back probably a little bit later. I was going to come back at about 4, but it's past 3 now, so I might come back at 4:30 instead. have a little bit of a rest. Thank you for being here. I hope you enjoyed yourselves. I hope you had a nice relaxing time. And I hope you have the good rest of the day. See you later, everyone. You lol. Yeah. Silly Dozer. But yeah, take care. And maybe I'll see you guys later. Bye.